Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope, baby, move that dope, baby, move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope, baby, move that dope, baby, move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga.
Hello and welcome to whatever episode this is of The Only Game in Town. As you can see, Jim is conveniently absent, leaving just Mike and the mad hogcock Amber. How you doing?
Jim has been put on temporary leave, pending a suspension related to performance-enhancing drugs.
That keep his hands off the interns, man. I mean, you can't just bring in a new intern every week because Jim brings him into his office and makes
Is that what we're now calling performance-enhancing drugs? Inappropriately touching the interns?
You should see just the jolt that he gets out of doing this. He is jazzed for the rest of the day after this. He does more work than both of us combined.
Oh, that's true. I mean, we don't know what kind of Denver omelets he's turning over there.
Oh no!
We don't call them Denver omelets.
He's eating cherry tomatoes out of interns' asses. All right.
Cherry tomato. I was saying grape tomatoes because they're more round. I don't know.
We won't get into the specifics.
Specifics.
Yeah, so clearly we haven't been. This is the first one. It's been like 3 weeks or some shit like that.
Yeah, sadly.
So we've missed basically every important thing that happened in the NBA offseason. So we're going to run through that real quick. So we should probably start with the main signing of free agency, which is LeBron James. Jordan.
Wow. Okay, first and foremost, I really didn't think he was going to go back to Cleveland. I thought he was going to stay in Miami. You know, I thought it was going to be like another tickle the nuts of Cleveland, and he was going to go back to Miami. But
I'm with you on that.
Signs started pointing towards him going back to Miami, like, you know, like his car's being moved out of his Miami house, and just
his kids being enrolled in Cleveland schools.
Yeah, it started becoming very blatant.
Yeah, I was convinced like all three of them were going to try and go back to Miami and make it work again.
Exactly.
But like the longer it took, and like even before those stories leaked, like the longer it took, I was like, he might be going.
Yeah, I mean, I will say it did become evident, and I did like the piece he put together on Sports Illustrated.
I totally agree with that.
But I give it more up to the Sports Illustrated writer who crafted that beautiful piece of propaganda, because that's what it was. It was propaganda to the fullest.
I would have loved if right at the end of the piece in italics and very small lettering it said dictated but not written.
Yeah. You know, and everyone was saying, well, LeBron is so well spoken and blah blah blah. Well, by the way, sort of racist. Once again, undertones of racism by saying he's so well spoken.
Yeah, I know, right? You never hear that about a white guy.
Yeah, it's like weird things that like sports reporters get away with when they're like when they say he's actually, or that's what they say, he's actually well spoken and
yeah.
You go.
It takes like a minute to hit, and then they like keep on going. And it's like whoa. Well,
yeah, it's usually it's usually Chris Broussard or just or a Brian Windhorst in his gullet, you know.
We can't go back into that this time.
Sorry.
We'll never get past it.
I tried to Snapchat that to you and Jim, by the way. Like he was when the decision first came out and he was on an absolute roll. Like he's on every single Sports Center, every single behind.
Oh yeah, you could just feel how excited he was to be wanted. One of the things, I mean, like probably isn't the right word, but I'm kind of interested in the opportunity for me to actually, because I don't think I hate LeBron as much now that he's back in Cleveland, because it doesn't erase the decision by any means, but he's started to atone for it a little bit. I'm actually excited to watch him on Cleveland and actually like enjoy his basketball for probably the first time I have ever watched him in my career.
I will say the NBA is fair again.
Yes, absolutely. Unless
the West has always been fair. The East is fair again. Because the East was not fair for. There was no one beating the Heat coming out the East. Like Indiana had a couple good runs, but even though I still think Roy Hibbert is somewhat of a good. Somewhere on the inside, you really got to dig and find when Roy Hibbert was a 20-10 guy.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised of any story that comes out about him in the offseason. Zero story. As Bill Simmons said, I think he's temporarily entered the Tyson zone for what happened to his basketball career this year. I mean, he could be found in another sex boat scandal out in Minnesota or something.
Dude, that is just the biggest drop off I've seen in I'm thinking of my time watching the NBA. That he just
it's like, I'm with you. Like, I've seen playoff collapses, but that's like 4 to 7 games. You know, you see a guy fall apart. You know what? It happens. But I've never seen from the All-Star break through the end of the year this guy he had like a degenerative disease.
Abysmal. He had certain players who were maybe 6 inches smaller than him, just being like, fuck it, he plays too soft, I'm going at him, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you would get, smaller combo guards just running straight into him and getting and ones. It was ridiculous.
But to go with a couple other signings, I think the Lance Stevenson signing is terrific for Charlotte.
I actually wrote that one down before we did this because I wanted to make sure I remembered it. It's incredible. Like they now have two starting combo guards. They could run absurd offensive sets with Kemba.
Yeah, but could you imagine facing the defense of Lance Stevenson and MKG?
I mean, not only that, and Kemba's not great, but he's pesky.
Oh, he's I mean, he is a pesty, but I mean, even though MKG is pretty much the most useless offensive player in the NBA, like hands down.
I can't think of a worse offensive player.
I cannot think of a worse the guy who can shoot worse.
He makes Tony Allen look like a comparable two-guard on offense.
And there are players in the NBA who have some ugly shots, but Joakim Noah, Sean Marion probably have the two ugliest shots in the NBA. Well, second to Kevin Martin.
Kevin Martin, yeah.
Kid Gilchrist starts at like ducks and elbow.
It's all part of one motion. It's like it's like a noodle.
It's just
serpentines on its way up.
And you're surprised that they haven't gotten in. Like, call up Reggie Miller. I know he's a TNT. Like, just call it. Like, get someone in there to work with his fundamentals even a little bit.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed.
Yeah.
Big men ask Hakeem Olajuwon to work with him in the post, and you see drastic changes to their post game, like when LeBron did it.
Yeah.
But you can't get one. Michael, you don't have one connection to get in there to.
No, you can't fall back on any of your Kentucky lineage. Yeah. You can't go on anybody. Michael Jordan is your owner. Like Mike, open your eyes, pal.
What, I mean, he got drafted 3 years ago?
That sounds about right.
In 3 years, he has made no improvement. He's become a better defender, and he's already one of the best defenders in the league.
He might have regressed offensively in 3 years.
I think with how much better his defense has got, his shooting's got worse.
Yes, undoubtedly.
I just hope that Lance Stevenson runs with the kind of team play that they had, that they made the playoffs with, like working it through to Al Jefferson and.
Yeah. And, I think, if Lance can check himself a little bit, like he's gonna have fun dumping it to Al when because Lance Stevenson is an incredible penetration dribbler.
And they got Vonleh now too, so.
Yeah, I like that. Charlotte team's gonna be pretty fun, I think.
And they picked up Zeller, right? And they had Zeller. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And if PJ Harrison can.
Yeah, that's who. Yeah. I don't know why I just confused Zeller with PJ Harrison. But if PJ Harrison decides to be anything of sort of if he's just not an asshole.
Well,
because he's probably one of the best shooting players drafted.
Oh, I remember watching him at UNC before, like when he was a junior or something, wherever it was. They went pretty deep in the ACC tournament, I think, despite the fact they didn't have a great team, and they had a win or something in the end. But he was dropping at least 18 a game and taking.
Can I tell you who he sadly reminds me of a lot of?
J.R.
Smith.
J.R. Smith. The beard makes me think of James Harden, but I can see J.R. Smith just gets a little too cocky and just starts chucking.
Oh, chucks him.
Well, you know me, I'm a huge fan of Chucker, so he'll probably list my favorite players.
You know how big of a fan I am of selfish NBA players. I can't get enough of them in my
Absolutely.
In my repertoire of favorite players, you know.
Yeah. Since we're on signing,
Congratulations to Tracy McGrady's retirement, throwing that one strikeout. You know, my boy.
attaboy Tracy. Attaboy.
You didn't hear about that? He threw one strikeout and then retired from baseball.
Attaboy. That's like the end of Eastbound and Down, like whatever the third season or whatever it was, where he finally gets on the mound and has the guy in the ropes and just drops the ball and walks away.
I think the team I'm most excited for to go back to signings is watching the Lakers. Last year was an implosion because Kobe wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have a somewhat. I don't know if Kobe's gonna play right away. He's probably not.
Yeah.
But do you know their starting lineup?
It's gonna be ugly.
It's Kobe Bryant. So both those players combined, I think you got about closing in on 77 years of the.
Oh, you're talking about Steve Nash. I'm thinking like opening day lineup. They're gonna have something in the area of Jeremy Lin, Nick Young, Julius Randle, Carlos Boozer, and who did they get? Samuel
and Jordan Hill.
Jordan Hill. I forget who their actual five is now, but he's another guy. It's just like
Jordan Hill's their center. The team that they're eventually going to have starting is going to be Steve Nash, Kobe, Nick Young, Carlos Boozer, and Jordan Hill. That is one of the worst teams with three bottoming out veterans. You don't want those three as your.
I'm glad we finally brought up Boozer because I have fun things to say about that. But I'm just
congratulations on your amnesty.
Oh my God, it's the happiest I've been since the Bucks fired Greg Schiano. It's a great sports move that's been a long time coming, and I'm real happy it happened. But I'm just laughing thinking of like the Lakers fans be like, all right, so Kobe can't play, Nash can't play, Nick Young is 1 for 17. And we're not relying on Jeremy Lin because he has 9 turnovers. So we gotta lean crunch time minutes on big.
Nick Young never got the opportunity to play with Kobe last season, right?
What?
Nick Young never got the opportunity to play with Kobe last year, right?
No, he was playing whatever the 5 games that I think he probably played once or twice with them.
Did Kobe even play at all last season? He didn't play once.
Yeah, no, he came back for a little bit, and that's when he tore his Achilles because he came back.
Yeah, that's right.
And he ruptured his Achilles.
But dude, I just want to see Nick Young and Kobe calling for it, and Kobe's like, "Look at me, mid-range jump shot."
Just on opposite wings outside the 3-point line, and Jeremy Lin takes up the middle and just looks like a deer in headlights. Picks up his dribble like just a step over half court and doesn't know who to pass it to.
And I feel bad for Steve Nash the most because Steve Nash still can have a career in the NBA just because he's such a smart NBA player.
Yeah.
Even though he's been hurt, it was like Jason Kidd when he played with he played the end of Dallas, the end of it when he played with the Knicks. You know, he was quite past his prime and not good anymore, but his basketball IQ is so incredible that he can still make any team better. But I mean, the guys that are on that team are just so
bad. No other word to describe it. And that's why I was laughing before, because we're going to get a handful of hilariously bad Carlos Boozer crunch time minute moments.
I'm just waiting. I just want to see how long the split is between Julius Randle and Carlos Boozer, because it's gonna. I mean, obviously Boozer's gonna get more minutes right out the gate, but whoever they hire as a coach. By the way, the reason they haven't hired a coach yet, who the fuck wants to coach that Lakers team? You're going into the hardest franchise to coach. I mean, let's be real. Second to being in New York.
Yeah.
The Lakers, I'd put number one. I'd put New York number two.
Yeah, I absolutely. Only because Lakers' recent history and they expect more of it.
The Lakers' history and the Celtics too. But even so, Boston fans are a little bit more understanding than those LA fans who are brutal.
Yeah, no, I mean,
no one wants to coach there because they know it's a bad situation.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, usually Lakers situations are great situations. They don't have a coach because it's a bad situation. You're going in and your youngest player is stuck behind one of the worst power forwards now in the league. But you got to play him because he's got a history of being something, Carlos Boozer.
No, it's not recent history, let me tell you that. I was actually just thinking of a fun analogy. The past, what is it, like 2 maybe years since they were good? Or whenever they were ousted by the Spurs and whatever, let's say it's 2 to 3 years, have basically been the equivalent of the Dallas Cowboys 2,000 years.
Yes.
Just absolute shambles, expecting to win every single time while trotting out a generous 500 roster.
And good for Pau Gasol fucking jumping ship.
Yes.
Proud of the guy.
Yes, I'm proud of us.
Proud of the guy for being like, this is not the situation I want to be. Pau's got a probably good 3 years good left.
I think he's got a real solid 2, and the third he'll be very efficient.
I agree. But in that offense that Tibbs runs, I think he's one of the perfect people. I mean, the upgrade from Boozer to fucking Pau Gasol, who
it is astronomical.
And it just seems like Pau Gasol didn't even want to play on that Lakers team. I just think you're going to have a rejuvenate. I mean, people forget how great he is.
I remember because I didn't hear much about him last year because he wasn't great. I didn't think. I looked up his stats. He was 20 and 10.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm excited. I'm at a loss for words because not only that, but because he was in D'Antoni's system, he wasn't playing the general 6 to 10 feet from the basket game that he normally plays. He was taking threes.
I mean, I understand. I think it would have been hard for Melo to sign with Chicago. I mean, the smart basketball decision would have been to sign with Chicago, but New York invested so much in Melo. I think he thought about how his public persona would look way before his basketball persona, and I think in many ways LeBron did too.
Yeah, I think so. I think those guys are whether it's for better or for worse.
I mean, Phil, but it's one of those things. It's I forgot who I was listening to on ESPN, but when they were talking about the the last 20 years of championships, that man Phil Jackson has a couple on his resume. Why would you want to leave the guy who orchestrated a couple offenses?
He might know what he's doing.
Once they get, and my thing is, once the next, I still think we got the steal of the draft hands down. That's my personal.
No, absolutely.
And I think the trade to get Calderon and Shane Larkin, who was a first round pick last year, it's like having a second first round pick.
Yeah. Yeah, that was nice. And you got to who did you move for that?
Some bullshit.
Trash for Jose Calderon, which is
it was.
And I'm glad you brought up the Knicks because
we sent a bunch of expiring. We sent Chandler and Felton.
Oh right. Oh, that's right. You sent Tyson back down there.
And good. Tyson did what he had to do. I think he'll enjoy playing for Dallas a lot more.
I think he will. I think that's another guy we may see a little jump in the stats and the energy. But I'm glad you brought up New York because I saw when I was looking, I was just kind of scrolling through some quick signings to make sure I didn't miss any. And they had one signing. They had Andrea Bargnani, and the headline was Andrea Bargnani decides not to terminate contract.
Yeah. That was that was one of my favorite things. Yeah, Bargnani's going to opt out because he's going to find anything close to the money he's making in New York right now.
He's making 12 or something.
Yeah, he's making in next year when Bargnani and Amari come off the books, and I think in some sort of way we might end up signing back Stoudemire next year for a league minimum.
I hope you do. I love Stats. I've always had a place in my heart for him.
Well, I mean, Stats started playing well towards the end of the year because he didn't get spring back, but you could tell the knees weren't hurting.
Yeah, and that's what rest will do for you.
Yeah. But if he could do anything what he did towards the end of the year and play a little bit defense, which he doesn't do, but I mean, all right. So let's talk about that trade, the possible
Kevin Love
trade, because I've been wanting to talk to you and Jim about this now. Too bad Jim's on suspension for doing inappropriate things with Claudia. So
yeah, poor Claudia, she's a nice girl. Well, my thoughts on it is, did you see the most recent offer that apparently we threw in?
I saw it was Taj Gibson, Dougie Buckets, Jimmy Butler.
No, Butler is staying apparently, but still, it's Mirotic, Buckets, and Taj. I think
you don't want to lose Mirotic.
I was about to say I don't want to do that. That's too much of an investment of us in the future, basically. McDermott's going to be great. He's young. He's going to be awesome. I want to see what this team right now can do because we also have another huge signing. Not huge. But it was a big sign. We got Aaron Brooks off free agency.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled about that because he could just run what DJ Augustine did and Nate Robinson did because apparently Thibs is incredible with backup combo guards.
Did you keep DJ Augustine?
No, he went to the Pistons, I guess.
Okay. I mean, he's a serviceable backup point guard.
Yeah, I mean, we still obviously need a 2 to probably a 3 who can create their own shot and make the offense flow a little bit more than just Derrick Rose. But I really just don't want to get rid of Taj Gibson. He's too integral to how good our defense is.
He's like a cult hero in Chicago too.
Yeah, I think that began after he stuffed the crap out of Dwayne Wade in the playoffs.
But well, here's the thing. I think what Cleveland is offering, it's like okay, but Chicago's throwing some names out there. Mirotic hasn't played yet, right?
He's been playing in the EuroLeague the past 3. I guess he won the EuroLeague MVP just this year.
Yeah, but this is going to be his first year in the NBA. How are you gonna pass him along before you see what he can do?
That's what I'm saying. The same thing with him and McDermott. I want to see how both of them are going to operate before we make a juke decision. I wouldn't be depressed if we had Kevin Love because we have fucking Kevin Love. That'd be incredible. But I don't know. Those pieces are still 2 of them unproven, obviously, and Taj Gibson is integral to the defense, as I said.
What happened?
I don't know. He just dropped out for some reason.
Oh, it was silly.
No, I just basically reiterated my point of wanting to see what McDermott and Mirotic can do, and then Taj Gibson being too good on our defense.
Yeah. But my iPad might be dying a little bit. But what I was going to say, my thing is, if I was Cleveland, I'd keep Wiggins. I don't see how you get rid of him. I mean, Kevin Love don't get me wrong, Kevin Love is fucking great. The man, if you don't mind. The man is, he's he's a first teamer. The man is close to 25 and 15 a game.
Well,
he's incredible. But, I mean, I was joking around a little bit today when I said the trade for Kobe for Vlade Divac. I mean, and because obviously Kevin Love is fantastic and they'll do terrific on Cleveland, but I just feel like Andrew Wiggins' ceiling is so high where we know where Kevin Love is.
Yeah, I laughed at it at first when I saw it, but I mean, it's comparable isn't the word, but it's along the same string.
It's just, I don't know. Because I know Cleveland's going to end up doing it, and Chicago's going to end up doing it too, because you can't pass up on the opportunity to have Kevin Love. You can't.
No,
the man is in the prime of his career, and like I said, the man is. How many times has he snatched down 20+ rebounds already in his career?
Not only that, but a pretty subtle point that hasn't really been brought up a lot. He works out with Derrick Rose every summer in California.
And he can fucking shoot the lights out of the damn gym.
Gunner. What actually an interesting thing that I read on Cleveland and the Wiggins trade is at the very least, wait until closer to the trade deadline. Give Wiggins 50 games or whatever and just see what he got. I mean, I'm with you, Daddy. I think he has a huge ceiling, but I think just off first basis, if you're that hell-bent on getting Kevin Love, then wait X amount of games and just look at him play with LeBron and
And Minnesota's not stupid. Some of those original offers that Cleveland was giving were some of the dumbest, because they were trying not to include Wiggins.
Right, yeah, they're just throwing shit in a bag and mailing it.
But my thing is, if you're LeBron James, why not? I know you're trying to get this shit going right away, but because, I mean, LeBron has such a big word in that franchise now. I'm assuming that when he decided to sign back, he was like, I'm essentially a small general manager.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I were him, Anthony Bennett slimmed down and killed it during the Summer League.
He did.
Killed it.
The Summer League was so much fun this year.
Yeah, I enjoy watching the gifs of it. And
Hey, Mike. Hey, Jack.
And I just think. Sorry. It's delicious.
Like it?
Spaghetti?
I just think you gotta, and I agree. Give it till the trade deadline, because you gotta see how Anthony Bennett and Wiggins play. You gotta see. You gotta assume that Bennett had a real rough go that first year.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was
Because
only,
Kyrie doesn't pass the ball as it is, you know.
not only that, but he was a freshman coming from fucking UNLV going to the NBA. There isn't a great turnover for players that do that.
Yeah. I just I think you got to give it a go. But
Yeah.
there's like the two sides to it. It's just like, how do you, and because it's a really hard debate because most people are like, how do you give up on Wiggins? And it's like, but how the fuck do you not have Kevin Love?
Absolutely, it's going to be. I mean, I totally agree with everything that you say. It's going to be great intrigue there because Kevin Love is getting moved before the trade deadline this year. There's no way.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, I mean, I'm just interested to see what happens.
Me too.
If I was Minnesota and you get those players from Chicago. Now, here's the thing about it: if you get those players from Chicago, you're not doing shit that year. But that 2015 with Jahlil Okafor, you might get another. The 2015 draft class is not going to be as good as this year, but it's going to be.
It's going to be good.
Pretty comparable.
Nice players out of there.
There's going to be some nice players out of it, and you got a young Jimmy Butler. Taj Gibson's not old by any means.
No, he's under 30.
Yeah, I think Jimmy Butler's got to go with it. I know the original that new offer didn't have him and had Mirotic. I think Jimmy Butler's got to go.
Yeah, the only problem with that is that then we're just not going to play defense. If we get rid of Butler and Gibson and replace them with Kevin Love and Pau Gasol, and who God knows what two-guard we'll get at this point in time.
I mean, you're always going to have Joakim Noah.
Yeah, but I mean, how much is he really going to be able to do?
And you'll have Derrick Rose back, who's a lockdown defender.
He's all right.
He's pretty good.
He's quick.
Well, he can't move the legs the same way he did in.
He stays in front of you, but he's got work to do on that. along with actually playing basketball again.
Quickly before, I don't know. I'm just saying at the moment, I agree with you. I do think he's going to be moved before the season starts. I just think that's the way it's going to be. But
before the season starts.
I just think he's going to be moved. I think they're going to get it done sooner rather than later. Because they're going to want Love to be introduced to that offense if
Yeah, absolutely.
where he goes.
Yeah.
And I just think it's silly to get rid of Wiggins. I just think his ceiling, and he killed it in the summer league too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was watching some of the stats. He was buckets.
Because here's the thing, he's gonna learn how to shoot. Most great players, I mean, they don't know they don't know how to. Like LeBron didn't come into the league with a beautiful shot. He had that.
Remember they called him LeBron Ames because he ain't got no guy.
Yeah, I mean, the man is now a threat from three. You would let him take those threes in those beginning. I mean, to say Wiggins is a bad shooter is one of the dumbest comments you can make.
He actually has a really nice looking stroke.
It's nice looking. It's not like fucking Michael Gilchrist with that. All right. So the next thing I want to bring up is Miami.
Yep.
I think it's smart. By the way, Bosch fucked over Houston. Oh my God, Jesus!
Oh good God, they're fucked.
just like the biggest fuck you to ever exist on the planet. But good for him just staying a little bit loyal, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there were tons of reports that came out when there was speculation about how much he loves Miami. I guess he really does. And now he's actually going to get the lion's share of touches, or maybe not the lion's share. He's going to get a lot more touches. So who knows? Who knows what he's going to do? Because he's still a solid player.
And I think the biggest fucking idiot was Dwayne Wade opting out of his contract.
I love it. I think it's so funny. It's great.
It's incredible.
Just to be there at the moment when he found out that LeBron was going to Cleveland, the things that must have ran through his head, oh shit, he's gone. Oh shit, $40 million.
What, he signed back for 2 years, $13 million a year? Was it 13 million a year?
Something like that.
Fucking idiot.
Absolutely. Well, I also love the fuck you move by Shabazz Napier, deleting all the LeBron tweets and then unfollowing.
Yeah, he said he wasn't the one that did it. I didn't believe that even for a second.
No, not at all. He's too nice of a guy to admit that.
But Pat Riley is fucking smart. Because he needed to get Luol Deng. That was the one player he needed to get.
Oh, God.
He didn't need it. Like, that's the one player he needed to get.
It had to be Lou. Oh, man, I was upset. I was distraught for a little bit after that one. So I was like, maybe we had Lou back.
You can't get Lou back.
That wasn't happening, but at the same time, it was just like, anywhere but Miami. Come on, Lou. Like, of all the years, the 4 years that we spent, like, bleeding and beating ourselves with Miami, it just, oh.
Dude, Luol Deng is a big market player. He didn't want to fucking stay in Cleveland.
Oh, no. I'm not blaming him for not staying in Cleveland. You gotta get the fuck out of Cleveland as you can. No, just that it happened that he went to the Heat was just a little soul crushing for me.
And the thing is,
with them.
Miami had some pretty fucking good signs. Josh McRoberts is a good player.
He's serviceable. Yeah, he's good.
Danny Granger, people forget. Like I said to you guys, they forgot he was an all-star 2 years ago.
Yeah, he just had the need. Like I think that's going to be one of the biggest, like, under the radar signings to watch, because especially with like nobody really that's going to steal shots. Like nobody on that team, I don't think, is going to take 20 shots a game. Like on a regular basis. Maybe Bosch, but probably not. Like he's going to get some looks. He's gonna get.
I think he's gonna get a fair amount of playing time.
Me too. He's not gonna be like when he was in L.A. on the Clippers, and he was just coming in to roll off of fast breaks and spot up on 3-point line.
Yeah, but the Clippers had so many people, and especially Danny Granger was playing behind Jamal Crawford. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, he was playing, behind Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Starting shooting guard. So he wasn't going to get much playing time, but I think honestly the Clippers thing was important to him because he got out and ran for a while.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm just still a little amazed with Philly's just
complete just ineptitude almost.
I mean, Joe, have you been reading Joel Embiid's tweets? Because they're some of the funniest things to ever.
The ones to Kardashian.
Well, now he's tweeting at Rihanna.
Right.
It's great. I love it.
Very good for Joel.
But yeah, it's been interesting. It's been a lot of us fucking texting at each other, like trying to figure out. Did you hear what happened?
That's exactly what's been happening.
All right. Any more NBA? I want to bring up the Michael Sam thing real quick.
Yeah, why don't we do that? I'm sure we can touch upon anything we might have missed next week.
Yeah. Okay. So quickly, I want to bring up that Michael Sam thing during the ESPYs.
Yeah.
Where my thing is, it was very brave of him to come out. And I thought we gave the coverage that it was necessary.
Yeah, I mean that's a big moment. That's like a traditionally manly man kind of thing, like with the locker room shit. Like
yeah. I mean it was huge, but my thing is you can't grow with it if you're going to keep making a big deal out of it.
Right. I'm totally with you. The longer you make a big deal out of it, the more of a big deal it's going to be.
And me and Jack laughed our fucking asses off. And when I sent it to you guys too, when they ESPN, I just don't think ESPN realized how it sounded when you put something like that. Like when they said with Michael Sam, when his teammates said when we dealt with Michael Sam and what his circumstances were, and you just go,
word choice, just bad word choice.
Are you calling being gay a circumstance? I'm just saying there wasn't a producer of that who was like, nah, we're not gonna go with that. Pick a new word choice.
I'd love it if it was like a situation where like the head dude just steps out. He's like, all right, I'm gonna go run and get some coffee. No way this goes wrong. And he comes back in and watches the playback. Just what the fuck?
Whoa! All right, get a new teammate. We need a new teammate.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, that was great.
And then after, and it was a nice presentation. Nothing compared to how wonderful Stuart Scott's speech was, which was the most perfect speech, second to Jimmy Valvano's speech that I've heard in probably ever.
I gotta look that up. I've heard good things about it. I just haven't seen it.
Oh, it was because people. There's no person on the planet that doesn't have a child. Well, but what we've grown up in, who has a soft spot for Stuart Scott. I love Stuart Scott.
Yeah, I love Stu. I mean, you can get a little
Stuart Scott, Van Pelt, Dan Patrick. All the Kenny Mayne, all those people of my childhood are like.
Yeah. Especially we all know we're big fans of SVP.
Yeah, and it was rough to get through. Like I'll admit it, I cried a little bit. I mean, the man's through a lot with cancer, and he's still going through shit, like still doing surgeries and stuff, and he did an outstanding speech.
He's blind.
Well, no, he's not blind. I looked that up, by the way, because I forgot he got hit with a football.
Yeah, he got a football thrown at him and hit him in the eye.
But after all that, and after that Michael Sam thing, and I thought it was nice, but a couple of poor parts of it. Tony,
Tony, what are you doing, Tony?
Tony, what are you doing?
How did he fucked himself over so hard?
Oh, Tony, what are you doing?
Oh God! I mean, that might haunt him. That might haunt him.
Oh, Tony, you can't. You just like there's.
What are you doing, Tony?
It's like. I remember reading it, and I was like,
with the backtracking that he's doing is just.
Oh, Tony, you're just like. It's.
Tony, come on,
man. It's like watching you're like, oh. So after all that, you want to be like, you want to tap him on the shoulder and be like, you watched the ESPY speech, right? Everyone, we all saw it. At this moment, Michael Sam is at the highest of highs again. You're just gonna be like, yeah, I wouldn't have taken Michael Sam because he would have been a distraction. Because then they start digging into his past. They're like, well, he's also the guy who supported Michael Vick when he was coming back. Like.
Yeah. Like, oh my God. Get
Tony.
it together, Tony.
Tony.
Together, man. Could you imagine if Tony Dungy dropped, like, in his backtracking apology, whatever that was, he dropped circumstance in there too?
Yeah, and we called it a circumstance. I just remember, I just was reading when I read the quote on SportsCenter, I'm like, oh, Tony, you looked at the nice guy of the NFL. Oh, you can't. Oh no, Tony. Especially, and here's the other thing: your son committed suicide from like a whole bunch of shit he was going through in his head. And how many like gay people who have had trouble with their own situations have committed suicide with their own circumstances?
Yeah. We have to use the preferred nomenclature here.
Have had it's just like you look like an insensitive fuck when you say something that's stupid,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, and just how high up he was, and like everybody thinking like, man, Tony could do no wrong. What a church man reforming people. And
yeah, it's just
does that. Like, that's a near crippling blow to this dude's like.
Yeah, it was so stupid, and God. Just so dumb. Like it was.
I like Tony Dungy. Just.
I do too. It was like
Come on, dude.
It was like disappointing. All right, you want to go to rough goes, or you got something left? Do
we want to talk about the World Cup? I don't really care.
Yeah, I'm kind of past it.
Yeah, fuck it. Soccer's over for the next 4 years. We can talk. I had because I know training camps are opening soon for NFL. We can say that for next week when more shit's gonna be going down. So yeah, we'll go right to rough goes. You got one on that?
What, you want me to start?
Yeah, if you want to. If you got one, I have one.
Obviously the obvious choice is Tony
Oh,
Dungy. I'm not going to go with him, though. I'm not going to go with Tony Dungy. I'm going to go with Skylar Diggins' boyfriend after Drake basically punked that motherfucker in front of the world. How does he sit there with his masculinity left after that?
I don't know.
just
I don't know.
That's it. That's a wrap.
That's rough. That's a real rough go for that guy.
That's a rough go. That's up there with Tony. You know, I mean, no, it's not. I mean, Tony's gonna, you know, because what the worst part is, Tony's gonna have to jump on that NBC. He's gonna have to apologize again.
Oh, that's it. That might be week 1 of Monday Night Football. It's Tony opening with like a Bob Costas like.
A Bob Costas interview. Just Bob sitting across with the leg over and the hair that's, by the way, colored by now. Bob, you can't keep it going. We know how old you are. There's got to be some gray in there somewhere.
Yeah, hopefully he's got pink eye again.
Yeah.
But like, they're just opening up now, Tony. We're gonna give you a moment to clarify. But first, do you hate gay people?
What if I was to tell you?
There's a retired football coach that liked to help reform other people's lives, but here's the catch.
He hates gay people.
Staying in the closet. In ESPN 30 for 30.
ESPN 30 for 30. No one has any more pride. Presented by Buick.
Presented by KY Jelly.
Oh. Come on, man. Ugh.
All right, my moving right along. My rough go is Art Modell.
Oh
Art
no. Yeah, that story was ridiculous.
Former Browns owner, he moved him to Baltimore, and nobody in Cleveland likes him. And recently, a Cleveland fan has peed on his grave.
Yes.
So it's just the ultimate FU. That sucks.
Yeah. And you can't do anything about it.
No,
you're dead.
No, like it's not like you go over to like God up in heaven or wherever he is. It's like, hey, you mind smiting that guy? Fuck off, Art.
Art, I'm gonna I had broccoli today. You're gonna have to take this. So.
You made this bed, Art. Now you gotta sleep in it.
And you're gonna be sleeping in it for a while. So. All right. So next week we'll see if Jim's off suspension.
If not, then episode 2 of Corned Beef and the Pastrami.
Mike and the Hardcock. You know?
Hopefully next week we will be able to see Jordan's furry penis. On that note.
On that note, it's been real.
Play us out, Future.
Ambulance. Do you see that?